So we have some of the most interesting, unique, and amazing meditations, I think, in the world. I mean, we have past life regression meditations, guided hypnosis meditations, Akashic record meditations, as well as healing meditations. Our meditations are pretty cool. And they're not just about stillness of mind and peace and sit there, I mean, we have those too, don't get me wrong, but these are about meditations that are going to shift and change, and you're going to walk out of there feeling lighter, freer, healed, and even getting guidance and insight. So come down, experience one of our meditations. They're pretty badass. Hi, this is Cristina Dam, and this is Liberate the podcast, where we educate, motivate, inspire, and liberate your consciousness. Hi there, welcome to another episode of Liberate the podcast. Today we're going to deep dive into Qi within, Qigong, and balancing, really your mind, body, and spirit, and a whole bunch of other different things about bringing balance and harmony from products to yourself and everything. And this gentleman over here, his name is Tom Voss, and he's a nutritionalist, a personal trainer. He is a Qigong teacher, still a student and a teacher of Qigong, and he passes that on to his clients to help them in health, wellness, and energy, really bringing that balance. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion and topic today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Honored to be here.
And he was talking with Rebecca out in the front, and I was just eavesdropping, and I was like, oh, this is great stuff. We need this on the podcast, about, different energy centers and things like that, and really pulling in the energy. And we'll get into that in a little bit, but that's just want to share what we're looking forward to. So can we hear a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Tom Voss, and I'm from Denmark originally. I was born in Denmark, and when I was 9, my family moved from Denmark to Luxembourg, and I lived there for 12 years. And then when I was 21, which seems like a long time ago, I moved to the United States in 2002.
Nice.
And I've been here a bit over 18 years now.
Yeah, he had it down to the day, and the amount of days. I was like, wow. I was like, who calculates 18 years later? But it shows you must be excited to live here.
Yeah, I really am. And I just remember the day that I got here. And it was a childhood dream of mine to move to the United States. So
beautiful.
That day that I came was it was a dream come true. And now looking back at that, how far I've come, and everything that I've been through in the last 18 years has been mind-blowing. It seemed like a lot, but it's also gone very fast at the same time.
Yeah.
Like we said, when you look back, it's gone too fast, and when we look ahead, it can't go fast enough. Right?
Absolutely. And then in the same sense, when we think about how it's gone too fast, I don't know if this has happened to you, but you realize how much has also shifted in the developments and the changes and the mass amounts of transformation that has went through those periods of time. Because a lot of times when we're in it, each day just feels like it's the next day. But then when you look back a year or 2 years or 5 years or 18 years, you say, wow, look at all that was accomplished during that period of time.
Yeah. And I really think that's important as well. It's something I work with the clients that I work with. I do coaching, life coaching as well, as helping restore balance both on a nutritional level, but also an energetic for, like you said, body, mind, spirit. But one of the things that I talk to my clients about is standing in accomplishment. Because oftentimes we look forward to see how far we still have to go with whatever it is we want to either create, or even in our healing. Right? If we're dealing with a disease of some kind, it looks like it's so far to when we're well again.
Yeah.
And the most important thing is to stand in accomplishment, to look back and see, well, how far have I actually come? So you're not discouraged, because otherwise you'll always look at what's missing rather than what you have actually achieved or what you have.
I call it the carrot on the stick phenomena, where people are just constantly trying to grab that carrot on the stick. And most of the time, even if something is so far away, they're never going to be satisfied or feeling that sense of accomplishment, because once they get there, they're just going to put another carrot out and another carrot out. And so it's embracing where you are at, where have you come, how far have you climbed. Those little accomplishments, I think, are so important for people. Yeah. But something that is easier said than done.
It takes some practice, you know. It's really looking at it and creating an empowering context around where you are. Yeah. Because it's, you know, we can look at things in different ways. I think Wayne Dyer said, change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. And that's the practice, is ongoingly create a positive and empowering context, a way to look at your life, no matter what the circumstances are, but to create a context that has you move forward, right? That has you moving. Yeah.
And in this, where was your journey that led you? So I hear your journey into the United States, you know, and that childhood dream manifested in reality, but where did you get into everything that you do and your own journey? Because I find that most people, they don't just say, okay, I'm going to help people have balance in their life. There's normally some kind of story behind it of finding your own balance.
Yeah. Well, it goes way back to when I was a teenager. When my family moved from Denmark to Luxembourg, I didn't speak all the languages that were there. And I went from being a very active kid to be very passive. Like, I would watch a lot of TV and eat unhealthy foods, and I eventually became a chubby kid. Okay. And went through a period of bullying as well, and I just remember that I was really sad. I didn't feel that I fit in at the time. I just wanted to be accepted, and I actually remember looking at shooting stars, and I would pray or wish for that. You know, maybe I would lose this weight, and maybe even the girl that I had a crush on, that maybe she would notice me and fall in love with me. Now that didn't happen. I did lose the weight. I actually ended up getting a food poisoning one summer. It's not how I thought that it would have started.
But you made that wish. But the universe answered.
But it happened and it took me a while to get well again. It was pretty severe. And when I started feeling better again, I saw it as an opportunity to really make a difference for myself. So I started running every day. I started eating healthier, and my body started to transform. But then that created another imbalance, which was I was like, I never want to be overweight again. So I did too much, and I eventually got so skinny that I could run fast when I was playing soccer on the soccer field. But when I caught up to the ball, I didn't have the strength to kick it. And then I was bullied for being too skinny as well. So I was like,
you're like, I can't win here.
And then I was introduced by my brother-in-law at the time to weightlifting and bodybuilding, which was, it was to strengthen my legs. Yeah. And that was the only reason I went, so I could, eventually kick the ball.
And not just run to it.
Not just run to it. Or at least have it go somewhere when I kicked it. So I started going to the gym nearly every day with my brother-in-law, who was older than me. Now he's my brother-in-law. He wasn't back then. Yeah. But, and I hated it at first. I'm like, why am I doing this? Just to feel sore? I was sore when I was brushing my teeth. Everything was aching. But after a while, I started seeing the results. I started becoming physically fit and athletic, and then the other kids in school started noticing as well. And because I liked the fact that I could see a result from the work I put in, so I started focusing on that. And eventually, they started making fun of me for that, because everybody else was playing more soccer. And I had found a new passion, and they gave me the nickname Arnie at the time, because
Arnold
Schwarzenegger.
So you get made fun of. This just shows to not pay attention to anybody's opinions in the way you're too chubby, you get made fun of. You're too skinny, you get made fun of. You're too muscular, you get made fun of. It's just like, where do you find your own happiness, right?
Exactly. That was exactly it, right? It's was like, no matter how I look physically,
you were picked on.
I was picked on, and I still didn't feel like I was accepted, the way that I was. So I started focusing on like what actually makes me happy. Like what can I do that makes me happy? And I started focusing on that, and started accepting myself.
Yeah.
In that way, and then that really transformed sort of my confidence as well as how I was perceived, because I didn't really care so much after that what others thought, and not in a bad way, like I don't care what you think, but like
but
what there's in a healthy way,
way.
And like a healthy self-respect, if you want to call it that. And I then got into bodybuilding by chance, if you want to call it that. The owner of the gym I was training at asked me if I would represent the gym in the national championship in bodybuilding, and I was 14, 15 at the time.
Wow.
And I don't know what it's about, but I did some research on it. And the only reason that I said I would do it was because he offered me a year free membership in the gym. I was paying for my own membership, and and I was mowing lawns and tutoring other kids and
to pay the membership.
To pay my membership and have some pocket money. So that was sounded like a really good deal for me.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I went into competing, and all I had was magazines, like fitness magazines, Muscle and Fitness and Men's Fitness and those, and that's where I drew my knowledge from. And I eventually ended up winning that national championship. And what I didn't know was that now I had to represent the country, Luxembourg, in the World Championships. Like I had no idea about this going into it, but now all of a sudden now...
And you're 14, 15 at the time?
15, yeah, 15.
Wow.
I think it was 15 at the time when I competed.
And was that the age bracket, or was it all ages? And
no, it was junior.
Oh, junior. Okay, okay. I was like...
And I then went on to, I think the first year I competed was in Spain at the time, in Sitges in Barcelona, and I was in the top 20. I don't even remember. There was a lot of people. I don't remember exactly how many there were, but I was in the top 20, but it didn't really matter. What I got from it was like, oh, if I put my energy into something that I like and that I feel I'm good at, because I discovered that I was good at it, I can travel. It opened up my world in a way.
And think about the lessons that you learned at 14, 15 years old of the mindset, right? The sense of accomplishment, not just that you can create and you can travel, but like that you can master different things and you can achieve things with focus, determination, and energy, right?
Exactly, yeah. And so that gave me some discipline as well. Like it really gave me discipline in nutrition and training, and eventually that. I started winning championships after a while and competed in several world championships. And eventually it opened up the door to come to the United States, where I then, I was here for a year and eventually ended up working with Muscle and Fitness magazine and Men's Fitness magazine, because I worked with them so much over the first year that I was here that they offered me a contract. And then through that, I was able to get a proper working visa and eventually green card and so on. So that really paved the way for me to come here. Now, on the other hand, it was also a very extreme lifestyle.
Yeah.
So pushing my body to extremes in different ways, always having to be in the best possible shape, because they could call me any day and say, hey, tomorrow or in a couple of days, you're shooting a cover or you're doing a shoot for exercises and stuff. So I constantly had to be at like my leanest and my best, which was really challenging, because you can't push your body that much over a longer period of time. Eventually it will start to break down. It's like having an engine, revving in the red, the RPM in the red for too long. Eventually the engine blows. And just that is exactly what started to happen. I started to, because it was an imbalanced lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I also wasn't having so much fun.
Well, I'm
as I
sure
did in the
probably
beginning.
not much at all. I mean,
Right.
the amount of energy and time that you had to put into that, and the rigid lifestyle, you know, I'm
Yeah.
sure that it's like, okay, I need to get to bed at the certain time, I need to do this. No, I'm going to only have these types of meals, so I'm not just going to go out and have fun or do the, you know.
Right.
And
Yeah,
everything was planned and structured, which great that you could follow that structure, but over time, it's like, you know, burnout.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And that imbalance, and that's why it's important to feel good about what you do as well, right? Because that's also, it's not balanced if you're doing something that you may be good at, but you're not enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah, when it hits that point where it's no longer enjoyable.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, which happens to many people in all different types of fields and things like that, is that they start out loving something, and then, you know, if it's an artist, they love artwork and whatnot, and then all of a sudden they're like having to like just produce so many paintings and so much things and so much deadlines, or an author that, oh no, the book has to be out by the certain thing, and then they're just like, okay, what they loved suddenly becomes this chore.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're having a breakdown, or like not a breakdown, but something's happening. Okay, so
Yeah, and then also accomplishing these things. So when I was 14, I was reading these magazines, and then now I got to be on the cover of those magazines.
yeah, you were the person you were reading.
But the thing was, I didn't feel any different. It was like I had these huge accomplishments, but there was this emptiness that was there. Like, it's like, okay, like, now what? I didn't feel any more fulfilled.
Gotcha.
There was something missing. It was like, okay, what's the next thing? It was very short lived.
Yeah.
Right? And it was in a way disappointing as well. It's like, what?
Yeah, because all of this effort and energy and sacrifice, life sacrifice on the other aspects of your life, and to say, okay, yeah, I have all this, but I also missed all of this, right? You know?
No.
And so around this time that you start having this, you know, breakdown, were you having any physical things happen too, or was this more of like an emotional aspect that was going on?
Well, I think it was a combination of all of it. My health started to deteriorate. I was constantly getting sick and colds and stuff. It felt like I had an ongoing cold the whole time after a while. And you know, regardless of taking vitamins and all kinds of stuff, which at the time was doing a lot of like synthetic stuff that's out there, because I didn't know better at the time.
Yeah.
But I was feeling the effects and the impact of it, and eventually my life just slowly started spiraling out. Like, there was just imbalances everywhere, in my health, in my mind, in my relationships, and just all around.
Yeah.
And it just couldn't sustain itself.
It's like I'm seeing like an image of like a water barrel that a whole bunch of holes were cut into it, and you see the water leaking out in all different areas, and it's like it's going to explode or crumble apart, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. So I ended up getting very ill. I got an autoimmune disease called Henoch-Schönlein vasculitis, which is an inflammation of the entire vascular system. It's extremely painful.
Wow.
It's basically, I don't wish it on anybody. It feels like your whole body is on fire. Everywhere you have capillaries is inflamed. Wow. And I was filled with a lot of medications, like Western medicine, just medications, and eventually, I just thought I can't keep doing this, because I was getting side effects from the medications.
From all the medications, it probably wasn't helping. It wasn't fixing the problem, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know? They were just treating the symptom, right, rather than the cause of it.
So maybe you didn't feel like everything on fire for a few moments or hours, but then it would come back, and then you now, on top of it still being there underlying, you have all these other side effects going on.
Yeah.
And so then what happened? You say, okay, I'm done?
Well, that, and also because there was heavy painkillers involved as well, and it took a while to, like, I had to get off that, literally do cold turkey on these painkillers, and go through with withdrawals on that, and get myself back. And then I discovered that the impact or the effects of the medication had caused an underfunctioning thyroid. And
so it literally was like spiraling.
Yeah. And then when the thyroid doesn't work properly, it regulates all the functions in the body, like your metabolism, your organs, how everything functions. And when it doesn't function properly, when you have low thyroid, hypothyroidism it's called, so when you have a low thyroid output, everything doesn't work at its normal speed, your digestion and so on, your energy levels. I was feeling depressed and just like everything was just so heavy and dark. It seemed like through that period. And they told me I had to take a medication every day for the rest of my life. Like there was no cure for it. That's just what I had to do. But I refused to believe that. I had heard that the body could heal itself. My mom is a reflexologist and a healer, and she had given me a book when I moved to the United States by Wayne Dyer, Dr. Wayne Dyer, called You See It When You Believe It. And I just always had that in the back of my mind, that there has to be a way that the body can heal itself without having to take all these medications.
Yeah.
So I started researching Eastern healing modalities, Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese medicine, to see if they knew something that Western medicine didn't.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I discovered is that they focus on longevity, where Western medicine is great when there's an acute an emergency that happens. You break a bone, or your heart stops or something. Then you can do surgery and you can use these medications short term to sort of get the balance back. Period.
Yeah. No.
For just a period. And unfortunately, long term it doesn't work because
they don't understand the causalities behind it. So, they're constantly just looking to patch Band-Aids, right? And until there's some shift in that, but that's where the mind, the body, the spirit, all of the different alignments. Yeah, I've had multiple different health issues, really bad autoimmune disease when I was younger, same kind of thing, but after years, done with it, right? And it seems like most people that I know that get chronic illnesses, that the chronic illnesses aren't solved by the Western. And the Western medicine does have great, amazing effects on, if I need open heart surgery, I want a good heart surgeon, right? If my bone breaks, I'm gonna want a good cast and a good person to put in, reset my bone, right? So there is use and there's a lot of benefit. However, time and time again, I hear stories like yours, right? And so you have this in the back of your mind, and then what's your first step towards change? Well,
the first was believing that it's possible. That was the very first step, because if you don't believe it, what's the point? You will, whatever your belief is, life will show up to mirror that belief.
Yeah.
So if you have a belief that something doesn't work, you will be looking for proof that something doesn't work.
Yeah.
And vice versa, if you truly believe something, you will look for something, or something will show up that empowers that belief, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
And so that was the first step, was believing it, and then was starting to research and then implement what I was discovering, step by step. Like it was a long journey to heal, to really heal it. To heal or restore balance, I'd say. And on top of dealing with that, right, there was also the undoing of, I'd say, my ego.
Yeah.
Because for years I'd been so identified with my body, like that was what I was making a living from.
Yeah.
Working with magazines and training people, and so that was that was who I was.
That was your identity, yeah.
And now the body was starting to to crumble in a sense, right? It was sort of slipping away from me.
Yeah, and so then you say, who am I without this?
Exactly.
I don't even know.
Exactly. Am I this body, or am I something that's beyond this body? Mm-hmm. And that led me on a very philosophical search to to what this life is about. And why we here, what am I and why am I here, right? I think most of us ask that question. So that was going on at the same time as I was looking to heal my body. And what I then discovered was Qigong. I saw a documentary on Qi and how in the Far East and in China, they have medicineless hospitals where they work with energies. Mm-hmm. And that Qigong is an ancient practice that can help restore balance to your body, to your bioenergy. And it's a practice that involves movement, intention, and breath. And Tai Chi was developed from Qigong as well. Qigong is both a moving meditation, and it's also a medical practice where where a practitioner would restore a patient's or person's energy using Qi from the surrounding channel through them. And then the practice is the cultivation of your own Qi as well, which is what Qigong means. It means Qi means your life force.
Yeah. And
Gong translates to cultivation. So it's life force cultivation.
Beautiful.
And I then, by synchrodestiny, what Deepak Chopra calls it, synchrodestiny, I then was introduced to my teacher, who is he's now 85. He's an 85-year-old Grandmaster. I went to see him for a Qigong treatment, a medical Qigong treatment. Mm-hmm. And while I was getting this treatment, he hardly spoke any English, but he pretty much diagnosed what was going on with me, with my thyroid and the energy. And while I was getting this treatment, I was also taken back into my childhood, where I saw I was being bullied. I was lying face down, and he's doing his energy healing, and I'm taken back, and I see myself where I'm bullied. I'm going through all these these things, which for a teenager was somewhat traumatic, and realized that has stuck with me. It had stuck with me up until that moment, and I'm lying there just weeping onto the floor, face down, with the head crate. Yeah. And I just released that old energy that was associated with that. And then afterwards, I explained to him I was taking medication, mm-hmm. and he said, "Well, take half of the medication for the next 2 weeks. Come to my house on Sundays, and I will teach you Qigong, practice Qigong. And after 2 weeks, if you practice every day, stop taking the medication." Mm-hmm. So I did that. I came to see him once a week, and I would practice every day. And then after 2 weeks, I stopped. And within 3 months, I was able to completely heal the underfunctioning thyroid. My levels returned to normal. And within that first year, the chronic pains that I had, which was another side effect of what I was dealing with, was chronic pains everywhere. My joints, my back, my knees. In the beginning, I could hardly stand up. Through the entire practice, I'd have to sit down. But within the first year, all those pains went away. And I was able to heal it. And I then started immersing myself into that practice, as well as other martial art practices. And then in 2016, I had taken on a martial art called Kali Eskrima, which is a Filipino martial art, sticks, knives, and an empty hand, with my teacher, Grandmaster Felix Royles, who is a Grandmaster from the Philippines. I just started to learn because it was one of the arts that Bruce Lee also practiced. He was taught this by Dana Santo, who was his training partner. So I was introduced to the art, and when I then met Felix, he took it to a whole another level. And as my health was improving through working with my Qigong teacher, my skills were also improving.
Yeah.
And he then kept asking me to compete in this art. He said, you should compete, you compete. I'm
Like how like life just leads you into like, come on.
When life gives you sticks, you know.
Go and compete.
So I was hesitant for he asked me for over a year.
But especially based on everything that you just went through, you know, having that, okay, I just had this death of the ego, detachment from my body. I was competing for so long, and now here it is again, showing up in a different way.
Yeah.
But am I going to repeat this again? So you ended up saying yes, though, eventually.
I ended up saying yes. I figured, well, if I have to know if I'm any good at this, the best way to find out is in competition. So I said yes to competing after over a year. I think I trained 2, maybe 3 years, but he'd asked me for about a year or so to compete. And I was like, no, not ready. And then I went, and in the first championship, which was a Western regional here in California, I ended up winning all the categories that I entered.
Wow.
And what that did for me was it lit a fire. Like it sparked this fire, this flame that I've had before in my life, which was completely extinguished because of everything that happened. It reignited that flame, which I believe we all have.
Yeah.
And this flame is it has a certain strength at certain times in your life.
And absolutely, and events and circumstances could make it feel like it's just a smothering ash for a moment.
Yeah.
Until there's some more sticks and things that get added, and then it goes, woo-hoo!
No pun intended. So there was definitely sticks added to that flame.
Yeah.
And it just, I felt like reborn again. Like I felt this fire, warrior spirit, or whatever you want to call it. That's what it felt like, what it feels like to me, is sort of reigniting that spirit, that anything is possible. And I then qualified in the nationals to compete in the World Championship in 2016 in the Philippines, and went with my teacher to compete there, and was blessed enough to win the World Championship there. And
look at you! It's like anything that you set your mind to, but that's remarkable, you know.
So it just, I mean, I'm sharing this to share what's possible, because 6 years earlier, 5-6 years earlier, that would have been impossible. You were going to be on
medicine for the rest of your life, and you're going to have this pain and this inflammation and all of this other things, and feeling like your body's on fire, and then you go to winning a world championship.
And leading up to that, and this goes back to belief, like believing that something is possible, and you might not see how exactly. About 2 weeks before the championship, I had qualified, but I still didn't have my ticket, because I was going through a period where I wasn't making as much money as to support that, because I still had to pay my own way to the Philippines. And I had been training, but I couldn't see, like, how am I gonna be able to go there, take care of what I had to my responsibilities here, and make it all work. And I just asked I was meditating, and I just said, hey, if I'm supposed to go to do this, please, whoever's listening, help.
Wow.
I asked for help and support. And the following day, a friend I hadn't spoke to for a long time called me up. He knew I had qualified, but he thought I had gone already. So he called me up. He said, hey, I just came back from Europe. I said, did you go to the World Championship yet? I said, no, it's in 2 weeks. He said, but I said, I don't see how it's possible for me to go there. I just don't have the money to go. And he said, well, have you been training? I said, yeah, I've been training and sparring with the other guys that are going. And he said, well, I'm going to set up a fundraiser for you, and you're going to go. So he did overnight. He set up a fundraiser, and within 6 days, I believe, we managed to raise all the money to go, and I got my ticket 4 days prior to the World Championship.
It just made me cry. but it's. I just did this amazing podcast with Tosha Silver, the author, and she's talking about how you offer things up to spirit or to the divine, and how the magic of the universe, will unfold. Yeah. It's like you could have never predicted that somebody that you hadn't talked to in years, you surrender, you let go, you're not attached with if you're gonna even go anymore, right. And you just share that in a conversation, and suddenly he's putting on a fundraiser for you, and 6 days later you have the money, and 4 days before you finally are able to get that ticket and show up and win the World Championship. Like, that's the other thing. Not that you just went there, that you became the winner too.
Yeah, and I really credit that as well to all the people that supported, because I could not have done it on my own. All the people that gave their energy, their money and support, moral support for me to be able to go and fulfill on this, gave me that extra energy. Because when I went into the finals of the championship, I was up against the Philippine military champion. I had to fight him on his home turf in the finals. Yeah. And going into that, I thought, I don't see how this is going to go my way. There was the judges were from the Philippines. The ring judges were from the Philippines as well, and there was an Australian ring supervisor. So there are three judges in each corner. They score points and so on. And then there's one judge in the ring, and then there's somebody who supervises it. Wow. And going into it, I thought, okay, I don't see how it's going to go my way, but I'm just going to go in there and do my best. I owe that to the people that helped me get there. Like, I felt that I was just fighting for myself. I had that energy of everyone
that supported you
with me.
So it's almost divine that and had to happen that way so that you could have that extra push.
Yeah, and it was the hardest fight I've ever had in all my experience of Eskrima. That was that fight. It went to the final last second, and throughout my arms, sometimes you fight multiple fights throughout the tournament, right? It's elimination. Yeah. So my arms were tired, my legs were tired. I had this voice in my head that was just telling me to stop, like we all have this voice that was just stop, stop. But then there was also this voice that said, no, you can do this. You've come all this way. You've done all this training. You've had all these people support you. Said you can do this till the last end. You can rest after. And it just kept me going until the last moment. And it was a very close fight. And they ended up counting the scores. His team went up and were talking to the judges. My teacher, Master Felix, went up and was talking to him. They sent them away, and then they called up the scorers from the ring. And at that moment, I didn't really care. I didn't care whether I won or not, because I knew that I had done my absolute best all up until the last moment, and nobody could take that away from me. And so winning a medal or a trophy or whatever, it didn't matter. Like I did my best, that was it. And if that wasn't enough, then at least I know that I did it. I just did everything, I gave it all. And they then call us up, and we're standing there, and my hand is raised, and I just collapse in joy and tears, and it was a really magical experience of what's possible when we connect to our Qi within, which is what I call it, and which is also the name of my brand and my company. Yeah. So
and that's miraculous. And being able to be that conduit to say, don't just believe me for the words that I say, but my life is the proof of how I've gotten here. And if I can do it, you can do it, Yeah. And so now you do so much different things, helping people have these transformations in their own life too, right?
Yeah.
And what's one of the most miraculous things that you find when you kind of teach people about Qigong and what's possible or what they get from it.
So it's really about restoring the body and the mind back to balance.
Okay.
Right? In nature, excuse me, in nature, everything is in harmony until we come in and interfere with it. And the same with our bodies. Our body functions in harmony. It's not separate from nature. It is nature.
Yeah. And
when we interfere with it in different ways, whether it's chemicals we put in our bodies or stresses, right? When we're always in the red, when our engine is always in the red, or something traumatic happens, like an accident or a traumatic experience of some kind happens, that shifts our belief to a disempowering context.
Yeah.
Then it goes down that road, and changing that belief, changing that context to one of balance and harmony and restoring ourselves to be in balance with nature. That is what really causes the healing.
Yeah.
It's having the body relax, like be happy and relaxed, which is our natural state, is joy.
Not to be super stressed out and tension filled and overthinking and push, go. I mean, you seen that and what that happened to you, right? The over pushing, that wasn't balance, right? But then it taught you it almost needed to happen so that you could learn the lesson of the importance of balance. So
exactly.
It's all divine anyways, right?
Yes.
And so when somebody starts to, what do you find when people come and find you or find the material that you teach and things like that, or do you find that they have a lot of deep-seated health issues or different other aspects? Like who kind of comes or gets that calling to stumble upon really working with you and things?
Well, it's typically people that want to transform something, whether it's just their physical body, want to be healthier, have more vitality and strength and agility and so on, or dealing with a disease, which pretty much says the word, right? It's dis-ease, not at ease.
Yeah.
And what I help them with is restoring their body and their mind back to ease.
Yeah.
And that is both through Qigong, which is movement, intention, and breath, which when you focus on just that, the mental, all the energy that's used for thinking and analyzing and telling you what you should do or shouldn't do, that goes away.
Yeah.
And when that goes away, then that energy is freed up. You have all this excess energy that your body can now use as well to heal itself and restore balance. And not only that, we can absorb energies from nature.
Yeah.
From the earth and also from.
Talk to me a little bit about that.
So in you've heard of Yin and Yang, right?
Yeah.
So in Qigong, the two main energies are Yin and Yang energies. So Yin energy is Earth Qi. It's the energy that emanates from the earth.
Okay.
And Yang Qi is cosmic Qi, heaven Qi.
Okay.
It's energy that comes from the cosmos, from the sun. And Yin has a negative polarity. Negative not as in bad. It's just like a battery has a plus and a minus. And Yang energy has a positive polarity. And our world is made up of those two types of energies, electromagnetic energies. And the Eastern philosophy is when those energies are not balanced, that's when we get sick. Yeah. That's when we are worried and stressed and we're not in the flow of life. And it kind of spirals, and we're in that loop, right? And when we then restore the balance back, all of a sudden, all our cells in our body can harmonize and work together. Our minds are clear, calm. We can focus and we can thrive. And there's a reason why it's called cultivation. It's not just something you do one time and then then you're good. It's something you cultivate. You create a habit. Like I've created a habit of health and vitality.
Yes.
Where I practice Qigong ongoingly. And even if the practice is shorter or longer, doesn't matter, at least I'm practicing and keeping the practice up.
Yes.
And the same with the other things as well that we can change, which is our nutrition, right?
Which is so important.
Nutrition is, I always see, I started to approach food as medicine. Like when I changed that whole approach to a carb is a carb, a protein is a protein, which is very cut and dry science. But when you start approach it from a place of medicine.
Yeah, that's how I look at it too.
And energy, right?
I'm like, well, what does this give me? Okay, yeah, I need some more potassium because I'm having a sleep imbalance or this, and so I'm going to eat a banana every day, or I'm going to do, like looking at it from that mindset is so powerful, and that's really what it is.
Yeah.
You don't go and drive your car and then put anything into the gas tank, or you don't go and say, okay, I'm going to put some diesel in the unleaded and hope that it runs, but we're constantly fueling ourselves and our body with things that aren't what serves us, right? And don't give us the fuel, don't give us the medicine, don't give us the nutrition to rebuild, restore, and rejuvenate, right?
Right.
And so you started looking at food as medicine?
So looking at food as medicine and really researching everything that I put in my body and knowing where it comes from, how it's sourced. Is it ethically sourced? Is it non-GMO? Is it organic? Is it like, what am I putting in my body? So if you think of it as both as medicine and as fuel in that way, it really changes it changes the context around food. You want to give yourself, like you said, the best possible fuel so the engine can run for a long time. Yeah, it's like,
people get cars and they want to put premium in because they have less of this and that and on the, the different grades of gas. But people don't think oftentimes, they go and they buy spinach as spinach. No, it's not just spinach. It's like, okay, that spinach is this, and maybe it's not grown in the most nutrient-dense soil, so it doesn't really have that much vitality to it. But also, is it sprayed? And then are you just eating the spinach, or are you eating the spinach mixed with a little, kind of chemical mixture of God knows what?
Right. Right.
And what is that doing to you?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and so knowing that, and also so that's part of the Eastern philosophy is long term. How can you create structures in your life that serve you long term?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, here in the Western world, life is very like quick fix, quick something. You want quick results. There's an imbalance of something. Let's take this to fill that balance, but it's not happening naturally.
Yeah, and what's the cause for the unbalance, right? Just filling in the space doesn't really necessarily fix everything, right? Like your thyroid. Right? Okay, take a pill and it balances the thyroid out a little bit, but
the problem is still there.
Yeah.
It's just masked in a way. Like the cause is still there, right? So that's the other component is then your food, right? And then there is the mental aspect. It's cultivating your mind.
Yeah.
It's cultivating your mind to both break old patterns and constantly having a positive outlook, like creating a powerful positive outlook. And that takes cultivation as well. I call it mind Qigong or whatever.
Yeah.
You can call it many different things, but it's still energy, right? Because thoughts are energy. They carry a vibration.
And they can make us feel energized, or they can make us feel depleted, and to so that's how somebody can know it's energy, right?
Exactly.
You get excited, you get some good news or whatnot, and you have a good thought, and suddenly you're energized, you're feeling good. You have this energy and stamina to do or create. Somebody said, you just want a trip to whatever country you've always wanted to go to. You'll be super excited, pack your bags, do all the stuff. But if you get a phone call and you hear some devastating news that something happened to somebody you care about, or you just got fired from work or whatnot, and your mind can literally make you feel so lethargic, those thoughts, and you're depleted, right?
Yeah.
It's like that. I think that's the simplest way for people to realize our thoughts matter.
Yeah, it does, and the practice is training oneself how we react to things that happen. Right? Is the saying is 10% is what happens, and 90% is how we
respond
to it. Like, that's our responsibility, our ability to respond, right?
Mm-hmm.
And seeing that everything that happens, if you look back in your life, even the worst thing that possibly happened, something good can come from that.
Yeah.
Whether it's personal growth or whatever it is, as long as we choose to look for what that positive thing can be.
Yeah.
Because it can either be a blessing or a curse, right?
Right, yeah, because, I mean, you could have completely not taken the mindset and the power that you had and been, miserable and continued to get sicker and sicker and continued to feel powerless and more powerless and more powerless. And, who knows if you'd even be here right now, right?
Right.
And, but that mindset of, okay, I'm going to take this and then that, and then what was given to you was a beautiful blessing.
Absolutely. I feel so grateful for my life and everything that's happened, and also that I get to share what I've learned from health and fitness, like holistic health and fitness, to Qigong, and also the.
Yeah, now you have even, like, you're starting to create some products too, right? So if you want to talk a little bit about that, I know you have a CBD product coming out,
right, yes.
and I love the full circle of good for the person and also good for the planet that you have. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I'm launching a company with two partners, Ronnie and Damien, and it's called Earth Remedies, Earth with a U, Earth Remedies. And it's plant medicines, so hemp, CBD, full spectrum hemp CBD, as well as medicinal mushrooms, and then we have tincture blends as well. So, rooted in Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine as well, to use those medicinal tools like reishi and lion's mane and cordyceps and all those things that are very beneficial. Like, they're great allies, adaptogenic. Blends, and then it's called Earth Remedies. For one, it's remedies from the earth. We source the highest quality plants and products, but also part of our profits will go back to remedying the earth. So we will be giving part of our profits to preserving wildlife, to helping people around the planet, as well as ocean cleanup and a couple of other. So we want to cover planet, people, ocean, and
full
nature.
spectrum.
Full spectrum, yeah.
Just like you do for people.
Exactly, yeah.
I love it.
So I call it conscious commerce. Like, it's modeling nature, right? You don't take something without giving something back.
Yep. If only more companies operated like that, I think they're starting to put, like, that's some of the ideas out there are, if fishermen are depleting, they need to give back, a different thing, like the waves, like if we can create an ecosystem of actually, what you take, you replenish and you make better than worse, right? We could actually start to find that balance back in the planet and our life.
Yeah.
Well, man, it's been such a pleasure. It has, Tom. Where can people find you?
So I have a website called QiWithin.com. So QI. WITHIN, so Qi Within.
We'll put it on there. And you just click it.
QiWithin.com is that's basically my business, my coaching, training, and Qigong teaching business.
Yeah.
And then EarthRemedies.com is the company. Oh, I brought you something before I forget. So that's the first run of our tinctures.
I like it.
Full spectrum CBD.
Amazing, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm excited to try it. Maybe I'll try it right now on camera. How much do I do?
You probably want to do 0.5. So that's 1,000 milligram bottle.
Oh, gotcha. Nice. Finally, somebody that puts it on the, how many of these tinctures do people just put random, like, 3 drops, 5 drops, these kind of things, when, somebody's drops are bigger or smaller than others, and this actually has the measuring on it.
And you can go on to our website as well, earthremedies.com. It's a coming soon page up right now, but if you put in your email, you'll get a 10% discount on any orders. Once we launch, we'll send you a message. So
great, and it has a little citrus kick to it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Appreciate it.
And he does classes here, and so we have him here at the end of this month. But if you see this later, you can see where we put it back on the calendar or other different workshops. But doing an intro to Qigong here, as well as I'm sure many other talks. And when the product lines are fully out, having them and discussing all the different varieties of them and seeing on more podcasts. You're very informative, and love to have you back.
Thank you so much for having me. I love to be back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this conversation, like it, subscribe, and share it with your friends. If you want some more amazing resources on your path of liberation, head over to liberateyourself.com and sign up for our mailing list. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram at Liberate Hollywood, all one word, or Liberate Emporium, all one word. Until next time, liberate yourself.
Thinking that you want to take that action step, why wait? Book your session right now. Go to liberateyourself.com, click on either Liberate Hollywood or Liberate Emporium, see our amazing practitioners and who resonates most with you. And then book a session via Skype, phone, or in person. We're here for you, and it's your time to start creating your life.